Hello, my name is Mr. Chipman. I am the AP Biology teacher at Murray High School in Murray, Kentucky, and we're talking about Hardy-Weinberg problems. So we did this in a previous video. You should watch that video, actually. It's Practice Problems Part 1. In Part 1, I will go into more depth on how we get this Hardy-Weinberg equation. In this one, I'm just going to kind of discuss the knowns, the things that we see on the screen. The top portion of the screen, Hardy-Weinberg equation, is the black words there. This is literally just copy pasted right out of the AP Bio formula sheet. Whereas P plus Q equals 1. P plus Q equals 1 is the allele frequency equation, whereas P is the frequency of the dominant allele, or in this case, allele 1. We're just going to, whatever. And percentage of the recessive allele is Q, or allele 2, in this particular equation. And so P plus Q equals 1 is 100%, right? And if that's true, then the above equation, P squared 2PQ, Q squared equals 1, whereas P squared equals the percentage of homozygous dominant individuals, 2PQ equals the percentage of homozygous recessive individuals, and Q squared equals the percentage of homozygous recessive individuals. I said that twice. 2PQ is the heterozygous individuals. Add all those together, it's 100%, you get 1, all right? And so the red information here, you will not be given on the test, and so you need to know that. Know that stuff. But it should be easy to derive knowing this equation. Again, look at video 1. You should do that. So let's go over here to these problems. My first year teaching, which was now 12 years ago, hard to believe, I created these problems. As I was observing homecoming festivities in the hall, silly stuff. Let's look at something silly. Okay, so upon entering the freshman hall, an unnamed biology teacher at Murray High School made an astonishing discovery. There was a tiny population of paper dolls living on the wall. It's true, they actually were. I don't think they were alive, but we're going to assume they might have been. One observation you notice is that there's an unusually high percentage of albinism in the population. Albinism, recessive trait, important. Typically found in 1 in 17,000 humans, not important. Population on the wall showed staggering 47 out of 135 paper dolls have albinism with this information. Answer the following equation. So again, just like I did in the last video, rather than reading those questions, I'm going to go over here and establish some things that I know. Well, I know that albinism is homozygous recessive trait, and that 47 out of 135 represents the number of individuals that have that homozygous recessive trait. I also know that the percentage of homozygous recessive individuals is equal to Q squared, so that 47 divided by 135 equals Q squared. Where's my calculator? I bet it still has numbers from the last video. Ooh, it does. Secrets untold. Okay, 47 divided by 135. That's going to give us the percentage of individuals in the population that have albinism. That is also equal to Q squared, right? And so what we're going to do here, for the sake of just keeping things simple, is we're going to round, right? We're going to go ahead and round that 0.348, whatever, repeating, up to 0.35, and we're going to say that Q squared equals 0.35 for this particular population. So we're going to go over here and write that Q squared equals 0.35. And if Q squared equals 0.35, then I need only take the square root of that number to get, I need to actually do this on the calculator because I'm not that good at math. There's the square root button. 0.59. Let's make it simple on ourselves, shall we? And let's round it up to 0.6. No, let's not. Let's say 0.59. Let's keep it there. And then Q or P is going to be then 0.41. How do I know that? P plus Q equals 1, right? How many recessive alleles are there in the population? Wow. Go ahead and hit them out of the park with a hard one. So there are 135 individuals, so there are 270 alleles. Where did I get that? 135 times 2. And so how many recessive alleles are in the population? Well, you take the percentage of recessive alleles in the population, which is equal to Q, 0.59, and you multiply it times the total number of alleles in the population, which is 270, and you're going to get a number. And that number is going to be, let's find out, 270 times 0.59, and that's going to be 159.3. You can't have 0.3 of an allele, and so we're going to say 159 is the answer to question number 1, right? And then what about question number 2? What's the percentage of dominant alleles? We could just do a simple math problem here, right? We could say 270 minus 159 and get the same answer, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do the math. We're going to see for ourselves that 270 which is the total number of alleles, times 0.41, which is the percentage of dominant alleles in the population. 0.41 times 270 is going to be 110.7. We're going to round it to 111. 111 plus 159 is going to be 270, right? And so that's where we're at. What is the percentage of heterozygous carriers for the albino condition? Well, that's just 2PQ, or 0.59 times 0.41 times 2. And need my calculator for this because I should have just made it simple numbers. But I think, if I remember correctly, I actually just went out in the hall and counted things. I was a naive teacher. 0.48 is going to be the percentage of those populations, or percentage of heterozygous individuals in the population, or how many heterozygous individuals are there. Okay, we're going to go 0.48 because that's the percentage. We're going to multiply times 135 because that is the number of individuals, and we get 64.8 people, or whatever, paper dolls, or 65 will round up. What is the percentage of population with a homozygous dominant genotype? That is p squared. 0.41 is going to be squared in this case, and that's going to be 16.8, or 0.17. Mark it down. P squared equals 0.17. Moving on to the second problem set here. As you turn down the junior hall, the teacher notices there's another population of wall-bound creatures. Shocking. This time the creatures were only heads with no arms, no legs. They liked to swim, and their name was Bob. That's kind of mean. Of the 335 bobs on the wall, 14 had the unfortunate distinction of having a football-shaped mouth, which is a trait that is retained from the larval stage. Funny. I guess I was like trying to teach paedomorphism, maybe. This is a recessive condition. Paedomorphism is, or no, this particular version of it. What is the information? Or with this information, answer the following question: what percentage of recessive alleles are in the population? So that is asking me to solve for Q. Well, I know that there are 335 individuals in the population. 14 of them have the recessive condition, right? And so 14 divided by 335 is going to equal 2Q squared. And so let's do that. 14 divided by 335 is going to equal 2Q squared, or 0.04 equals 2Q squared. And if I take the square root of that, that's going to be 0.2. And so we're going to say 0.2 Q in this case. Q equals 0.2, and that means P equals 0.8. And what is the percentage of recessive alleles? It's 0.2, 20. What is the number of dominant alleles in the population? The number of dominant alleles is going to be 0.8, which is the percentage of dominant alleles, times the total number of alleles in the population, which in this case is going to be 670. Where did I get that? 335 bobs on the wall. Each one has 2 alleles. And so 670, pulling up my calculator here, I'm so slow on this. 670 times 0.8, the answer is going to be 536 dominant alleles in this population. That's a lot. How many carriers for the football-shaped mouth are there? Well, this is the heterozygous condition, right? And it's asking for how many people or individuals are there out of 335. 2PQ is what I'm looking for here, because that is the percentage of heterozygous individuals. So that's going to be 0.2 times 0.8 is 0.16 times 2, 0.32. 0.32 times 335 bobs. 335 bobs times 0.32 is going to be 107.2. There's no 0.2 bob, so we're going to say 107 individuals. What is the percentage of bobs that are homozygous dominant for condition? That is going to be P squared, 0.64, 0.8 times 0.8. Moving on. There's a small percentage of students at MHS that do not like to decorate for homecoming. These types are called fuddy-duddies, of which the biology teacher readily relates. He sure enough does. The trait for fuddy-duddiness came from recessive, or for fuddy-duddiness is recessive in the population, and 40 of MHS's 450 students, wow, 450, we're much bigger than that now, have it. Carriers of fuddy-duddiness are immune to rampant cynicism later in life, which is often a fate of many who demonstrate fuddy-duddiness in high school. Man, it's the facts. With this information, answer the following questions. So we know that fuddy-duddiness is a recessive condition, and that 40 out of 450 individuals have that. And so what is that going to represent? 40 divided by 450 is the percentage of homozygous recessive individuals in the population, which is also equal to PQ. So 40 divided by 450 equals 0.088888888. That is Q squared, right? And so we're going to take the square root of that, and it's going to be, that's the wrong button. That's the wrong screen. There's the square root of that. 0.29. Let's do ourselves a favor here, and we're going to round it to 0.3. It's pretty close, right? It's really close. So we're going to say that Q then equals 0.3. What does P then equal? Of course, you already know this because you're the math wizard. 0.7. And now we have the whole world as our oyster. What percentage of the population is immune to rampant cynicism? Well, carriers are later in life immune to rampant cynicism. So we're going to say that is 2PQ, or 0.3 times 0.2, 0.21 times 2, 0.42 is the answer to number 1. What percentage of the population is homozygous dominant? That's P squared. 0.7 times 0.7 is 0.49. What percentage of the recessive alleles in the population? Percentage of recessive alleles in the population is Q, 0.3. These are easy. Here's a really good question, actually, to end our video with. The fuddy-duddyism isn't selected for in the population, meaning that pressures in nature are selecting against that particular trait. Why is it still around? It's still around because it's the individuals with a heterozygous condition can still be selected for, right? But they're carrying that allele, and they can pass that allele. And so two individuals that have the heterozygous trait will then have a chance to have offspring that have the homozygous recessive trait for fuddy-duddyism or any other kind of deleterious allele in a population. That's why they stick around. So let's talk about this. If you like this video, please like down below. Comment also if you have questions, or if you have comments about my weird questions, please leave comments down below. I get to all those comments. Subscribe to my channel. There will be more things. Thanks a lot.